Hello and welcome to another episode of my Great Guitar Build-Off. Welcome to Space Oil Guitars again. Today I'm going to be fretting, sanding the fretboard and fretting the neck. But first I have something to ask you. I'm going to do covers on the body, and I thought about doing like a Ben Crow style with this one, where it goes all the way out to the body edge. Probably won't slide in. It probably will be screws, because I don't want it sort of clattering around. But for this, I can't decide whether to do one cover or to do two covers, well, one for each. So I think I'll be inlaying either one block of wood or two. Let me know in the comments what you think. They probably will be covered with carbon fiber, but I'm using wood to stabilize it because the carbon fiber is pretty thin. Anyway, let me know what you think. Alright, so what I'll be doing here is using a radius block and radiusing the neck. I do this prior to gluing the nut in, because it makes it easier. I'm going for a 16-inch radius. I'll be going over with with 80 grit. And for maple, I like it to shine a bit, so I'm going up to at least 800 for the finishing touches. And then I will be fretting the neck. Now you can see my homemade fret bending jig. It's not much, but it really does the job, and it costs maybe 6 pounds in parts. So if I can find it, I don't know where I put it. But anyway, I'm not going to be filming all the sanding. It's basically just me doing this. For a long time, and then I'm going to mark it out with a pencil so I can see where I'm doing stuff. Anyway, I'll get back to you when it's time to do the fretting. Alright, so I've sanded this up to 800 now, and it's so smooth I'm not going to go any further. So now I'm going to start fretting this, and the reason I'm fretting it before I start carving the neck is to protect the fingerboard. So I usually fret it, I cut the edges, but I'm leaving them uncrowned until the end. But at least there's some metal to protect the fingerboard, because the fingerboard is quite fragile. It needs to look right, needs to feel right. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to set up, and I'll show you my homemade radius tool. Alright, so here I have my fret pressing clamp. This is a cheap eBay bought off-brand, because, well, the brand versions I could find are too expensive for me, and this just the job nice. It comes, I have my box with stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to radius the fret wire quite heavily, and then I'm going to press them down first with a 10-inch to get the edges in, and then I'm going to go over with a 16-inch to present flat against the fretboard. And since I haven't done anything with the neck, I'm able to use the flat bottom part of this clamp the whole way. So this is not of my design. I found it on a Norwegian guitar forum by another maker. So what you basically do is you press your fret wire in and you just push it through, and that's it. Then you get a 7. This is set up for 725. I can move the center one up and down, and these are just ball bearings with a washer between. So you have washer, ball bearing, washer, ball bearing, washer, and a ball nut on the back. And this is just so I can clamp it down if I want, but it actually turns out I like to use it unclamped. So I'm gonna go get my pliers and get to work. I will be putting glue down because I've seen Ben from Crimson Guitars do that, and if he does it, I have no argument for why I shouldn't. Also, I've saved some of the dust from the fretboard radiusing so that I can pour into the side slots later, make it tidy it up and make it nice. Alright, so I'm only going to show you one because there's no need for me to show 24 of these. But I basically do the same with all of them. I need to make sure that the tangs are straight, because the way I do it, sometimes they twist. So I'm marking up the approximate length of the fret, going a bit over, cutting it. And then I don't have a nibber, but what I do is I take my tongs and I cut a little side step in the tangs so that I don't have tangs sticking out of the fret slots. This is for looks, and it also makes it easier to get a hyper smooth playing sensation, because you don't need to take the tangs into consideration. So then I'm left with sort of a jagged edge. I've used this plenty of times. This is my trusted cork sanding block, and it's sort of soft enough so that I can hold it down, and I file the edges off manually. Because you want the edge to be completely gone. No, not yet. You want to make sure that you don't inadvertently up-bow the bottom of your fret. So I'm using sort of a curved file. It's slightly curved, which makes it a little bit easier to just hit the dead center of the fret. So that one's good. Going to the other side and bending the file very, very slightly. This also does take some of the curve out of the fret. So I don't know if all the steps I'm doing are necessary before this, but it's become my way of doing things. Alright, so I'm going to unclamp the neck now. I like to do this holding the neck in my hand or keeping it very close. So the first thing I'm going to do is set this up. It's very narrow now. So where did my fret go? There it is. Glue, obviously. I've gone through so many paint brushes that now I just use one of these, I think it's a barbecue poker, or what do you call it? Yeah, which you use for barbecues. Get a piece of paper, and I just use the sharp end of the stick to spread the glue around. That works fine. Glue brushes I've given up. I don't know how you people who use glues, I can't understand your budget or how you clean your brushes to get the glue off, but I am unable financially to use glue brushes. Now at this stage, I'm just taking a little bit of glue, making sure I get it down into the slot. I don't want it on top of the slot. And all the way to the edge as well. And then I sort of wipe off the top of the fingerboard so that I don't have any squeeze out underneath the fret. So I'll get some paper. Now the only dumb thing about doing it like this is that I have to switch back and forth between the 10-inch and the 16-inch radius. Otherwise, my fear is that the glue will set in between and that I'm not able to get the fret down all the way. So making sure it's straight, I can see that that is way wide. Tightening the clamp, lifting up slightly. And that was a bit high also. One more. Alright, so there the edges are in. I'm switching to the 16-inch. And getting a good press in. And once that is done, that is basically my entire process for doing this. So I'm putting in my 16-inch insert. Hopefully you can see this. Pressing it in, I'm just leaving it for a second. So usually I'll leave it in while I do the next one. I don't think there's a need for it. But as you can see now, I have no tangs on the sides of the neck. So this is basically what you would do if you have a bound neck, which I usually make. But even for an unbound neck like this, I prefer not to have the tangs there. So that's my step. I'm going to be doing it 23 more times. It takes a while, but the results are always good. And you end up with a pretty neat fret job. So now, once the frets are set in, I use a small piece of binding, dab it in super glue, and just go in the edges, getting the super glue really in there. And I do that before I trim the edges of the frets. I don't dip this in anything, it's just putting a little drop on and getting it in the slot there. Now this is quite thick, so it's not going to run. So if you use thinner super glue, I'd suggest masking or something, but as mentioned, this is thick, so I'm just getting it in there. So quick spray. Then turn it over and do it again. So that's the fretting done. I'm pretty happy with it. It's very neat. So I'm gonna let this sit. I'm traveling for work tomorrow. So I'll be gone at least 14 days, and this will sit. I'll let the glue cure, obviously, and then I won't be doing anything until I get back. So it'll be at least 2 weeks from recording this, but maybe just a week from publishing. Maybe, we'll see. So that's the fretting done. The edges super glued, but I haven't tied it up anything yet. So once again, thank you for watching. Go check out the other great guitar build-off videos, and leave a comment if you like it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.